The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. I'm Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson.
And I'm Shannon Penrod. And I got to start by admitting that we recorded this episode several days ago because I have good friends. And my good friends, I have a medical test that I have to be available for 24 hours and not move. And it takes place during the time when we would have done this show originally. So I have good friends who agreed to do it in advance so we would still have a new show and that I would be able to go and do the medical test. So thank you to Nancy and thank you to our two guests who are going to be joining us in just a second because, it takes a village, right? And I thank you guys.
And Shannon, we wish you the best of luck with that test.
Yeah, it's not a big deal, but it just requires me to not do anything for 24 hours.
Right.
So there we go. But we're joining you. Welcome to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy on the Autism Network. And you're seeing this show as a live premiere, and I am watching live with here to answer questions. And it's possible that Nancy or Matt or Navah could also be here as well. So the chat is open. You can ask questions. We're live right now on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. The show will also, it's available a bunch of other places as well. Traven will start to show those to you. And remember that it will be available later on as a free podcast download wherever you get your podcasts. And we appreciate you guys liking, sharing, reviewing, and doing all of those things. It makes our day. So our guests today, we're not doing news because it was going to be old news by the time this aired. But our guests today are two of our favorite people. I think you and I are both in agreement on this. They're remarkable movers and shakers in autism. They're often referred to as the Brady Bunch of autism. But honestly, they work so tirelessly to help our community. They are the co-founders of the amazing Ed Asner Family Center. They both had worked extensively in the field of autism before they started the Ed Asner Family Center, but we love how much this place has come together and created a haven for so many of us, not just for our kids, but for us as well, and for people to get access to classes and lessons and support groups and therapy sessions to help us to all deal with the emotional side of what we're going through. And by the way, it is not just for individuals on the autism spectrum, it's for all special needs families and individuals. So we're so thrilled to welcome Matt Asner and Navah Paskowitz-Asner. Love them. Look at your faces.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi. So great to have you on the show with us. We've got so much to talk about. Shannon just mentioned all the amazing programs you have going on, and we want to start with that. Tell us, I know it's a long list, but tell us what classes and events you have coming up at the Ed Asner Family Center.
Well, we're in my messy office because there's classes running right now as we speak. And but April's a busy month for everyone, and it's extra busy for us because we're having our regular classes. We're having a huge Ed Talk. We're not going to say who's on the Ed Talk, but it's going to be the best one we ever had, in my opinion.
Stop for a minute there, Navah. Tell us a little bit about the Ed Talks, what they're about.
Well, the Ed Talks are they're kind of like a TED Talk, but kind of a play on that word, on that phrase. But it's usually something to do with the autism community or special needs community, and we're just trying to enlighten people and provide information and create interesting dialogue. And some of the past guests have been the cast of As We See It. We had who else have we
had a panel of self-advocate
Yeah.
autistic ladies that was my favorite shows.
We've had
Incredible.
a parent panel. And basically it's once a month, and it's just an informational show where people can get information and participate in an open discussion about topics that might relate to them.
Yeah,
And
Shannon and I were on a couple of months back.
Wait.
Oh,
I'm
how
sorry.
dare
How
you?
dare I forget that?
Jeez.
No,
Thank
we
you.
had actually, thank you for reminding me. We actually had a wonderful segment that dealt with
Anxiety
mental
and
health and
Mental
anxiety.
health, addiction issues.
And your incredibly brave uh, appearance on that show is one of my favorite moments from the Ed
yes,
Talks. So
Thank you.
you're a brave
you got to give
person.
him a break.
It's
He's
happening.
getting gray. He's,
Well, you got a lot going on too.
Yes,
I
that's
think
true.
one of the things that makes the Ed Talk special is month we have our social director and self-advocate, amazing self-advocate, Chelsea Darnell joining us. So we have an autistic perspective, and for me, Chelsea just adds that authenticity to the panel. So she's going to join us each month as well.
Love that.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things that we have running right now, which is the foremost of my mind because we just had it, is the dating spectrum and sex ed 101. And both of those programs were really parent produced, really. The dating spectrum is extra special because, again, we have an autistic self-advocate who's co-teaching with our mental health director. And this session, we have Tom Island, who both know. He's
Right.
amazing
Love him.
life coach, speaker, just one of the nicest guys in the world. He's become part of our family. And Tom is just knocking down the doors. I mean, they're only in their third week, and I just listening in the other day, and they were all laughing and just so engrossed. But it's programs like that that are really like, I felt I'm getting all these calls from parents saying, these are the things that we need. Can you help us? And those are the kind of programs that we want to create. If they don't exist, we have to create them. And going forward, we want to continue with that kind of vein. Going back to April, we have a choir, we have a theater program that's starting.
Let's put up the flyer so people can
Yes,
Oh,
see.
that's a
We've
good
got
idea.
so
Yeah.
many things, and then talk about it, you guys, because we've
Yeah.
got so many things going
yeah.
on.
Well, I mean, on April
Oh,
2nd,
can't
uh,
see it.
kind of, let's see, I gotta put my glasses on. I'm blind as a bat. So, I mean, the exciting things are we have spring break camp, which unfortunately is already full. That one really it's our winter camp friends who, our winter camp was the midst of the surge. So it basically was like the majority of the winter camp just surged onto our spring break camp. Our Ed Talks are on April 26th. But there's really something for everyone, and almost every day there's classes. Sunday is our special day because Aviva has back-to-back classes, so you could literally come at 11:30 and spend the whole day with Aviva. It's like the greatest fun day ever.
And
Aviva is a great.
those of you that don't know, Aviva is your wonderful daughter. Who
Yes,
teaches
our
art,
Yes.
and we
our
had her
elder
on the show just recently.
Yeah. And I'll just add, that's only part of what we do. So the other part of what we do is we have 5 wonderful therapists who offer counseling services, and we take all forms of insurance. We're also on a sliding scale, so if there's a need, we can make sure that seen by someone at a decent rate. And it's a very important part of what we do, especially during these very trying times.
Yeah, you know what, Ed? I mean Matt. Sorry
Sorry.
about that little
I
slip.
love when people call me Ed
I know.
now.
I was going to
I love
loves
that.
that.
It makes me feel
I-
close to him. It's wonderful.
I take advantage of that therapy. I come to the center for therapy, and I get so much out of it. It's such a great resource.
And I get so many other things. I come to some of the support groups, and I come to many of the events. And my son works there, and as a family, we get so many different things out of coming to the center. And I sort of feel like you guys are the Disneyland of autism. That because you know how Disneyland you go and it doesn't matter like if you're 4 or you're 104, there's something for you.
Yes.
And so that's how I view. And there's always something going on. That's the other way that you guys are
I think that was our goal. I think
Yeah.
that when we thought of center so many years ago, I mean, we dreamt of a place where we could bring our family, we could bring our own kids. We have 6 kids and 3 autistic sons, and we wanted a place where people would feel comfortable and included and
Welcome.
but also get the mental health support that they need. It's not just about enrichment. Say all the time that if you're an advocate who's falling apart, how are you going to be an advocate for your children? And I say that all the time. It's the best gift you can give your children is by helping yourself first.
Yeah, we talked about the other day. Something you just said reminded me. Is when we started working on the center, it was very important that when people came in here, it didn't have a clinical. That it was almost like being in a second home, and we really wanted it to feel that way. I think for the most part
I think you have. I definitely have. I know I'm somebody who's a homebody and I like to stay home. And I love whenever I get to come to the center and that it's a different experience every time. I never know who I'm going to hear, what the conversation is going to be, but it feels like an extension of home. And if I feel that way and I don't like to be anywhere but home, I think we've done a pretty bang up job. So we put together a bunch of questions for you guys because we have you on and we talk about the different events that you guys have going on, the different classes that you have going on. But we thought it would be fun because it's April and Yay Month, autism awareness, acceptance, action, ally, all the A's, right? We thought it would be fun to ask you guys some questions. So are you game for this?
I love
Absolutely.
that. I love
Okay.
Let's
Okay,
roll.
Nancy, do you want to take the first one or you want me
I
to?
take the first one. When was the first time you heard of autism and what was the context? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
What was the context? Was it positive or negative?
Sure.
I would say it was negative. The fact that my dad pretty critical in general, and I remember when my big brother Israel's son was diagnosed, my dad was critical and blamed Israel for this, that, and the other. He blamed Israel's wife. And his son Isaiah was he was very young at the time, but he was very impacted and needed very high support. He was at the pinnacle of his behavioral period, like nothing that we had ever seen in our family. And my dad was one of those people who felt that with the right nutrition and the right exercise, you could undo anything. And this was something that couldn't be undone. And Israel really, it hit him hard. And he was very affected by it. And to me, that seemed like the most negative thing in the world is to have an autistic child. And, I believe in my heart that was my path all along, and God heard my doubts and put me on that path. But my first realization of autism was a negative thing. And now, Isaiah lives a wonderful life. He's 30 years old. He is 30 years old. And there's still a lot of challenges, but there's much more so acceptance and love, and they're so grateful for him.
Right. And we might add that your brother has been an amazing advocate himself with his surf
Absolutely.
camps. His surf camps,
Absolutely.
Navah, for those on
surfershealing.org.
right.
No. And Matt, what about you?
Well, it's an easy answer for me. I know exactly what it was. My first view of autism was, I mean, my first view of autism and the
Personally.
explanation of what autism is would be Rain Man. That would have been my first look into that world. And
On a personal.
on a personal level, it would have been my brother. And I would say, I thought, I'd hit the jackpot. Really, I thought,
You're going to go to Vegas.
I was going to go to Vegas, and we were going to be, good friends.
Were you Tom
We were
Cruise?
going to be
Were
good
you
friends.
Tom Cruise in this?
I kind of was, yeah.
Right.
So yeah,
Ish.
I'm taller than. Let's
Oh,
put
yeah,
it that
he's
way. So I think it was I soon realized after making that kind of idiotic observation, taking money, that autism is not that. It's hard work and a lot of frustration, parents at the beginning, and it's about getting into a groove and into a situation and into a system. And I applaud my father and his then wife for doing that. And my brother lives in New Haven, Connecticut, and is doing fairly well. He's in-
Lovely.
And we talk every now and then, and it's good thing.
So
Amazing.
interesting to me that not only do you have your own children on the spectrum, but you have autism woven through the fabric of your family, with siblings and nephews. Really interesting, your paths.
Well, I will say this. I'll say that hearing that an extended family member, and I not extended, but that a close family member has someone on the spectrum, my dad, for example, or Navah's brother, for example, it doesn't prepare you at all for having your own child. That is something completely different.
Yeah.
And it's
because you think, oh, that'll never happen to us.
well, I didn't think that.
That's their thing.
I
That's
wasn't
not going to
that-
be our thing.
Didn't factor into my thinking at all. Just
Oh, because you thought
I just
Charlie was
didn't
not.
I just didn't know about it. I didn't
Yeah.
I mean I didn't know about it. I wasn't I didn't actively research autism. My brother was born, and one of those things that I just knew that he had autism and was autistic. And but when Will was born, it was like boom. That's all I can say. It was quite different. Quite different.
Well, this kind of feeds into our next question, which is, what do you wish you could go back and tell yourself on the first day that your child was diagnosed? For Navah, it would be when your first child was diagnosed.
Well, I think both of mine were like initially. I mean, I wasn't concerned, especially with Wolfie. Wolfie was didn't really show signs at all until he was probably 3, or maybe even older. But with Eddie, Eddie was such a connected baby, so bright and incredibly alert, and I couldn't accept it. I was like one of those dudes who was totally in denial, and I really was in denial, very much so. And I would say with Wolfie, I probably would have gone back and had him formally diagnosed earlier, because he kind of passed and went to a very small private school and didn't have to have the kind of support needs that Eddie needed. But he missed out on a lot of things, and I think that suffered greatly later in life. Didn't have those supports.
Later in his young life.
Yeah, no, I mean, went through his entire elementary, entire middle school, no supports, and then really went on a downhill, just very quick downhill in 9th grade. And it's because I kind of was letting all slack. In my opinion, I felt like I kind of let him down. And I think all parents feel that too. Always going to be the autism guilt that's different than Jewish guilt, but I have both.
Absolutely.
He's a remarkable senior in high school, having been accepted to an amazing school. I don't think you messed it up, Navah.
I don't either. So what about you, Nat? What what about you? What do you wish you could go back and tell yourself on the day your child was diagnosed?
Well, when your kid is diagnosed with autism, you and your kid are told all these things that you won't be able to do. Won't graduate high school, you won't graduate college, you won't go to college, you won't ever live on your own, you won't have a job, you won't do this. I can't tell you how many people told me that Will would be, you know, unable to do anything. Um, and boy, I mean, I wish I could have gone back to that time, told myself, not listen to any of these. They don't know who you are. They don't know who he is. And, we lose the clinical side of it because you are, your child is individual and an individual that grows. Yes, he's autistic or she's autistic, but they're growing like a flower. And my God, they're going to make their own minds up about things. You're going to help them, but let them grow. Let them grow. That is exactly what I would tell myself if I could go back, and I wish I could. Let them grow.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Thank you for those answers. The next question is, what do you think the biggest challenge facing the autism community is right now?
I want to know what that conversation was.
Well,
Me
it's,
too.
it's the same for
the
both
division.
of us.
I feel like it's the division in our community. I was just talking about this with Jennifer O'Toole, who wrote that beautiful book, Autism Heals. I know, and she just got. She's the new consultant on the new U.S. version of Love on the Spectrum.
Oh,
Yeah.
good for her.
I just wish that people would spend as much time as they do fighting, just listening to each other more. Because I have so many friends in the self-advocate um, movement, and I'm an autism mom myself, but I think both sides are really coming at each other in a very defensive stance, and it's they're both wrong and they're both right, and it's just such a waste of time and energy. Such a waste of time and energy. I think that people really need to just let people do what's best for their household. Stay the hell out of everyone else's.
Well, yes, 100%. I mean, I think that we are all living our own righteous lives. And I think that my experience is just as important as anyone else's. Their experience is just as important as mine. And I think we just have to come together and understand that we're both fighting for the same thing. We're not enemies. We're not against each other. I'm a parent, and I totally understand where self-advocates are coming from, and I applaud them that they have the ability to advocate for them. And I think it's a wonderful thing. I just think that we have to understand that we each have our own righteous lives, and if we get together and we work together, and I've said this for so many years, we get together and work together, we would be the most powerful group in the history of groups. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, think about it.
I agree. I think more and more self advocates are realizing that there are parents. We may not always get it right, not always say the right thing, but we desperately want to be allies. That our whole every waking moment is how can we help our children and grounding our children. So want to learn, want to get better, and we all want the same thing. And I do think we're slowly that way, and that more and more self advocates are realizing, oh, aren't against. You just maybe don't always say things the way, and I need to teach you how to say things. So I think that's good. But let's switch gears for a second and talk about something that I love to manifest. I love to put things out into the universe and be like, okay, what if? So
Yeah.
I want to know from you guys, what if somebody gave the center $5 million what would you do with $5 million? And then if you want to, we can up that number. But
Do you
I
know
just want,
something that I don't.
no, I don't. But
Well, I
I'm a really good manifester. And so I think if you put it out there and say, here's what we would do with $5 million, I think you're more likely to getting the $5 million. So
Well,
here it is.
that's a no-brainer. I mean,
I'll let her answer.
we rent. We rent our facility. You know, that's a huge portion of our output. And so to own our center would be everything. And, you know, unfortunately in LA County, $5 million.
Well, no, I mean, I think $5 million
No, that
would
would
probably do it.
I'm not
But-
ungrateful.
But I think
But I'm saying in order to do what we want to do, which is buy the center and to make another center.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
that's really the reality is every day of our lives here, people ask us, when are you going to bring a center to my area? And it's very, very hard to say to them, you know, we don't even own our place. One thing at a time. We have to buy our first flagship store, so to speak, and then move on to your area.
Well,
So-
to put a fine point on it, though, people need to realize that when you don't own your place, you're having to pay that rent.
Yeah.
So that money has to go to that. But if you didn't have to pay that, then all of that money could go to other things. And I think what you said is you would open another center.
100%.
yeah.
100%.
I mean, I think the initial idea that we had was we want to spread the love. We want other communities to have the experience that our families are having here, and that was our dream when we started this, and it certainly still is.
And do
And
you know
that's a
where you
dream.
put the second one?
That's a dream that I think is well within your reach, considering all you've achieved.
I think we talked about Arizona, we talked about Orange County, we talked about Texas.
Those are our first three
And
that
of
are
course,
probably going to be most likely
Can-
first. The next.
Kansas City has been mentioned, and certainly Chicago.
Go where you're needed. Wonderful.
Yes.
All right, this next question we
Oh,
touched.
and I'm sorry, I forgot one.
Oh,
Hawaii.
Oh,
ah,
definitely. That one.
has to
Nava wants that one so she can
Nava-
surf.
Now,
Oh,
once
man.
that happens,
That-
boy, that's it.
That's
She's
it.
over there.
That's it. I'm trying.
You'll never get her away from there. All right, we touched on this earlier. The first of your three boys on the spectrum is leaving home. What is the prep and emotional roller coaster like?
Can you ask that again?
The- Wolfie's
Okay.
roller coaster. And it's
Right.
never ending. I mean, my stress level is through the roof. I did find a hypnotherapist today, though, Shannon.
Yay.
I know I've been looking for a long time.
I think he's going to do great. I
Of
think
course he is.
Thanks to another autism mom, Nancy, I gave me like the laundry list, and her son is not living on the dorms, but he's a senior at Berkeley, as Wolfie will be coming in as a freshman. But you know, the most important things, getting a mentor who to come in and make sure that Wolfie's doing his laundry and just doing the day-to-day things that I do every day for him.
Right.
That's a huge weight off my head, because to
Right.
me, I'm sure any parent whose child goes away to college has some of these concerns, but
Of course.
it's so ramped up with him that if I didn't check in on him on a daily basis, I mean, would forget to do just very basic things, and that's my greatest fear. The recurring nightmare I keep having is that he has a roommate who's like this horrible mean guy from the show Euphoria, who like beats him up and steals his money, and I keep having this horrible dream about him having
That's
a
not
really
gonna
horrible roommate. So
I think he's going to be fine. I think the thing about Wolf is I think he's got a lot of surprises in him. I think
Right.
he's really. I'm excited to see where he goes and what he does.
Well, it's
Is-
incredible what he's accomplished, and you must be very, very proud.
I'm
We are.
over the I mean, I was telling Shannon that I had pretty much a pretty like a nervous breakdown when he was accepted, and then I saw Coda, and the whole premise of the movie. It was like it brought it all back, and so wonderful. I
Because
totally
that's the school that he's going to, the same
yeah,
school that she wants
yes,
to go to. Yeah.
yes.
You put it
Yes.
so well, Shannon. You did
I
it without spoiling it.
I did a total
Oh,
spoiler on her.
did I totally spoil
No,
him?
No, you
on,
didn't.
on
You
her
you
okay.
show the other
totally.
day.
I
All right.
I haven't seen it yet, so
I
spoiler
know.
alert.
Oh,
Nava
no.
spoiled it.
I on this show the other day. I gave such a spoiler, and I said,
Yeah.
"Oh, Shannon taught me not to do that," and I didn't.
And the way Shannon said it was perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I was like, oh,
No,
maybe I
no
did.
big
At
reveal.
this point, people should have seen it,
Yes.
but we still want people. It's
Right.
so good, Nancy. What a treat.
I'll
I'm
watch
so
it. Shannon,
you're
it's your
very
turn.
lucky.
Your turn with the
Yes, it
question.
is my turn. So we want to know what's the best advice you ever got.
I know. My mind's easy.
Okay.
Is this
The
concerning?
best advice I ever got was from Matt Asner.
How about that?
You'll never hear me say that again.
What did he say?
Eddie was diagnosed. I mean, Eddie's diagnosis was within a week of Matt being hired to his job, and I called him. My brother, one of my older brothers. My brother said, "Hey, my friend, he just got hired by this big autism organization. Call him; he'll help you." And I called this guy, and I thought he's never going to talk to me. He's the president of this thing, and he answered the phone. He answered his own phone, talked to me for like 2 hours. But the advice he gave me was, I'm going to give you a number of a mom support group. Call this lady and talk to these people. And I went from feeling completely alone, completely terrified in my own bubble of, fear and unknown tomorrow, to feeling like everything was going to be okay. Every one of the ladies I met had already been in my shoes, had already gone to the next step of the journey, and they let me know that it's going to be okay. And that by far was the best advice
Matt,
I don't know if I can answer that question. I'll be honest with you. I've gotten so much advice from such incredible, wonderful people. Shannon's included.
How
You're
about me?
included. You.
I'm saying, isn't the
Um,
best advice you ever
the
got
best
to marry
advice.
me?
Yeah.
Right?
Who gave me that advice? You gave
I
me that
probably gave
advice.
you that advice.
You gave.
No,
No, I mean Nava's given me advice, great
really?
advice every day. No, she does. She gives me great advice every day, and I follow it because I'm smart. But no, I think that I'm lucky, really, really lucky, because I've been connected into a community and accepted into it that readily gives me advice, and I'm a lucky man that we're both lucky. Sorry, we're both lucky that that we were able to you know to meet people and uh, talk to them and engage with them. Sorry, I mishap there. And so it's hard for me to pinpoint that.
mhm.
But
How about your dad, Matt? I'm sure he gave you a lot of it.
oh yeah, I mean my dad. It's interesting. The last probably 5 years of my dad's life was literally just my dad and I talking every day um, and discussing, what we should do on certain situations. And he would go, and then I would go, and you know, that's a, you know, that was a big part of our relationship for the last 5 years, and it's solely missed. It's, I'm as I drive in the afternoons when I have to drive in the afternoons, I really miss making those strange FaceTime calls to him because it was I loved getting advice from him, and I loved giving advice to him. So
Well, we all miss him. We
yeah,
all miss him.
And we need to say too, we miss your mom too,
oh
Nava.
yeah.
yeah.
So much
Yeah.
loss last year.
All right. The next question is, what's the best advice you give that you never got?
That we never got.
Yeah, that you give others, but that you never got yourself.
That's a hard one.
Okay.
Because I mean, my advice I give to every parent is don't think about tomorrow, just deal with today. Like,
Mhm.
don't worry about tomorrow.
What?
Especially in the beginning. In the beginning, it's like, if you have to, kid is having a hard day, if you're having a hard day, don't go to the store, use Instacart. Little things like that. If I could have had Instacart when Eddie was little, I can't even fathom how wonderful that would have been. I was terrified of taking him into the store. Terrified because he was so big. When he'd tantrum, I couldn't physically pick him up. But I think just taking it day by day, sometimes hour by hour, sometimes minute by minute. And, a lot of moms that I talk to and coach are single moms, single dads, a few, but mostly it's, you're in this alone. And when you're doing it alone, it's a totally different thing. It's something that is just very, very difficult. And, you know, so I really think that people need to take it easy on themselves and really just, take time for yourself. But most of the time, we as moms don't have that luxury, especially if you're a single mom. So just take it day by day, you know.
Um, I mean, I agree with her. I think I'll just add that um, celebrate every little victory that you can because they're wonderful. And I think we tend to take for granted um, these little things that for other kids are we can take them for granted because everyone does them. But I think that these little
And don't
victories,
compare your victory.
no, yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's
Like,
your
don't compare
yeah,
your victory with another autism
but
parent's victory.
it use them to propel you through your life because they're going to give you the juice.
So I don't know about you guys. It's always a little confounding for me how to identify myself. For years, I identified myself as an autism parent, and then I got to the point where self advocates were saying, there are actual parents that are out there that are on the spectrum. When you say that, they don't have anything to call themselves. Then I started calling myself a parent of an individual diagnosed with autism and with so many words. And now I'm describing myself as a pony, a parent, a pony. Isn't this great? I'm a parent. It stands for PONI. I'm a parent of a neurodiverse individual. And sometimes I say I'm a pony. I'm a parent of a neurodiverse adult.
I love that. I love
So
that.
my question to you guys is I'm not assuming that you call yourselves that, but it does sort of. What has been your biggest aha moment since becoming a pony or a parent of someone? Have you had an aha moment?
Well, I mean, I think honestly, it's how how it was for me accept that I needed to. I think I'm not the most. I don't know. Sometimes I get a little scatterbrained, I think. um, but I really truly um, knew that I had to do something. It really changed my life. It really did. It changed my life, and I think for the better. I think being a pony changed my life for the better, and that surprised me. Sure, I
Well,
didn't.
it changed
I
our
didn't think.
lives for the better too.
Yeah, I didn't think when
That
I.
you were. That you
Oh,
were.
thank you, thank you very much.
No,
Uh,
thank you.
and back at you there, Shannon and Nancy. Back.
Ah,
What about you?
Um, I have one, but it's kind of hard to.
you don't have to. It can be private.
Well, I mean, I'm way too transparent. I don't have any filter. My problem.
So
Um, I would say I put such high expectations. My perfect, be the best, this, the smartest, that, be, um, you know, those kids that they say, oh, my kid has a gift. They have these gifts, musical gifts. And when the reality came that Eddie really should be in a special school, that was very hard for me to accept. I thought, no, Eddie's gonna be in a typical school by the time he's in elementary school, and he's not gonna be like, you know. And for me to admit that Eddie needed more support was a huge obstacle for me. And I have really like given in to the fact that what makes him happy is the most important thing. And he has flourished since then. And it had nothing to do with Eddie. It had everything to do with me and my own, childhood. Beep. Oh, beep.
oh well,
All right.
But
We've said it before.
okay. But I think that's a huge thing is that we're putting a lot of our own stuff on our kids who already have a lot of stuff to deal with. And I think goes back to the square one, which is take care of your own stuff first, your own, your own support needs, your own therapy needs, and know that this is about them making their lives happy and fulfilled and perfect and as they see it, not as I see it.
Man.
So that's
that's a good one.
I'm a little bit of a
That is,
A-type personality.
I agree with
That's
you.
why I never put Eddie in the show business because I'd be one of those like Karens that, I wouldn't.
I hear that.
Okay, next question. What was your lowest moment?
Well, I know that.
Go for it.
It was when I heard the diagnosis, for sure. I mean, I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I knew kind of what I told you, Rain Man and my brother, and it was so far away from me. I was so distanced from it that I really didn't have anything to do with it. And when I was sitting there, hearing, like I said before in this interview, what my child would not be doing in 20 years, it was horrifying and awful, and probably the worst nightmare of my life. Um, and so I would say for sure that that was the lowest part. It was all manufactured by other people, by other elements. It wasn't real, but
And
it was certainly the lowest point
how
of
can
my.
any doctor know what tomorrow
Well,
brings?
they don't. I mean, they don't. I
That's why I
mean,
don't listen to doctors.
well, I think we've come a long way. I think
Oh
we've
yeah, for sure.
in 20 years, I think we've come a long way. I think doctors are now,
Getting
hopefully,
sensitivity
hopefully,
training, getting
hopefully,
sensitivity training.
they've got a better understanding on how to talk to people. I think, and I think there's certainly services out there, and I think everything's kind of set up a little better than it was 20 years ago or 30 years ago. But that was the lowest point for sure. There's no contest. That was it.
I think for me, the lowest point was right before I met Matt, and I was in an extremely unhappy marriage. Felt very alone in my fight to give Eddie what I knew he needed. Um, and I was told, over and over by my ex-husband that I couldn't do it alone. And he really fed into my anxiety. He knew what my triggers of panic and anxiety were. And he really pushed those buttons to make me believe I couldn't do it without him. Couldn't take care of Eddie without him. And I mean, we had lived as roommates for the last 6 years of our marriage. And I knew that there had to be some happiness for me, that my total happiness for at the time was my children, and that was fulfilling enough, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And when I got the best advice of my life from Matt Asner, and he told me to meet these moms, they brought me out of that hole. They said, hey, you can do this. you're a strong woman. You lived this crazy life with 8 brothers. You don't have to live in this, gaslighting environment, because you can do this and we will help you. And that's why for me, it's like, oh, I'm just giving back. Every day I talk to these single moms who need my help. I'm giving back because I was one of them who was really in a bad place, felt that this can't be everything. I know I'm supposed to do more with my life. And
And look
Amazing.
where you are now.
yes.
So we've toured what was the lowest moment. So share with us now, what was the biggest triumph that you guys so far? Because we know there's more to come.
Well, I mean, I think when we have, I have little moments like that every day when we have a parent says, my kid has been in depression and they're come out of it because they're looking forward to the dating spectrum. And I hear these wonderful stories from parents of how the center has changed their lives. That to me is like, okay, everything I've done in my life for a reason, and this is my reason. So I have those little moments, usually about once a day. And even when I have, I'm thinking like, I can't do this. It's too much. I'm too old for this. Well, I'll have one of those moments. And I think it just completely fills my tank.
I think for me, there's two. If that's okay.
Yeah, we'll
So
allow it.
I think you know getting to work with Nava and seeing her um, incredible vision creating programs um, was something that was a true high point for me. I think it's amazing to me, something that I certainly can't do. And it's incredible how gifted she is. And I certainly didn't. I kind of knew that before, but I really didn't understand it until we started the center together, and I saw her incredible gifts, and she's incredibly gifted. Um, there you go.
Now, what are you going to ask me?
There you go. No, so
Can I go out with the boys tonight?
no, no. Well, I'm doing. No, and the other one is really important. Well, the other that's important too, but I think I was so wrapped up and scared that Will, who is our oldest spectrum, he left middle school with a total inability to read, and that scared me because I think to really live in the world you need to read. One of those things that you need, and I can't tell you. I can. We have a couple of ideas. We talked about this yesterday or the day before. Um, he he learned how to read in like a year after switching into high school, and a lot of it was the school, but I think a lot of it was also getting him a phone and having him text and having him really kind of use the phone and type and understand what letters were, how he needed it to communicate, and and it taught me a lesson, huge lesson, that we have to find things that our kids need and show them how to get them. And if they really need them, they'll do the work themselves. They will figure it out. They will do it. It was an incredible lesson to me that all this crazy stuff that we tried a lot of things, and it just didn't work. And finally, it was just a simple act. Well, I mean, I think his school had something to do with it, but it was a simple act of getting him a phone and having him text, and it became important to him to communicate, and that was a very, very important and wonderful
Life
moment
changing.
for him and for me.
Amazing. You guys are amazing. I think we should take a minute and go through some of the different events and classes that you guys have coming up in April. It's so important that people understand that the center is in Los Angeles, but you guys also do things that are available to people all over the world. So there is a wonderful mix. So for those of you who are crying right now and going, these are so amazing. Why don't we have this here? I want to remind you that there are ways. I told you it's like Disneyland. There's something for everyone. So talk a little bit about, there's something every day of the week except for Friday. And some of these things are available everywhere. Kind of go through the list. The print is very small, so we really want to encourage people.
I'm going to let Nava do that
Oh.
because I really cannot see that at all.
It's but people can also go to tafc.org to be able to see this flyer. I can see it a little bit, and I'm fairly familiar. Should we start with Monday, Nava?
Okay, so Monday we have a virtual class, which is the amazing Aviva, and she knows how to draw a character.
And the cost for that, Nava, is exactly how many pennies?
0 pennies for
That's
that
right.
class. We have currently a running back-to-back programs that are both full. They're absolutely amazing relationship course and our introductory Sex Ed 101 course, which is going to resume in summer 2022. So if you're interested in either one of those classes, they fill up very quickly. They're both classes are 18 and up, and
but those are in person, correct?
those are in person. Then on Tuesday, Matt and I have our virtual show, Brady Bunch of Autism, where we're taking live questions and being zany at times.
And
Then,
that's online, available for free.
right,
Yes.
that's virtual. And then another virtual program that same day is Aviva's character drawing. She usually does a cartoon character that her community has suggested. That's a very fun class, and that's on Tuesday afternoon. Virtually.
Again, free.
Free.
There's no cost for that. You take that class with your child and draw a character together. I'm going to tell on Traven. Traven loves that class.
Yes.
Our producer Traven drops in on that class from time to time.
It's a fun class.
And then on Wednesday, we have another virtual free class with our incredible music director, music therapist, Judy Langdon.
That is in person.
No, virtual.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, it's both on that day. There's a one virtual
Judy
and
does
one
a virtual class. Actually, it's twice a day. That day, virtual class, and then she has an in-person choir class that is meeting every Wednesday at 5. And there is still some availability in that choir if you were interested. On Thursdays, we have a limited series called Circus Arts, which is a free in-person class, thanks to an amazing grant that we received from LA County. There is availability also in Circus Arts, so please call us about that. That's on Thursday in person. And then Thursday, also in person, is a class that there is a cost for this class, but it's very reasonable. And it's a physical fitness class with the amazing Jake Weiner of Zeus Fitness. Been in the community forever. He's one of, he honestly is the best fitness coach I've ever met for our community. So good.
I'll say this about it. I can't stand fitness classes, and I don't like them. And I did it, and I loved it, and I did it with Shannon actually.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like a fitness class in terms of
no, it's so much fun.
Fitness. It just seems like fun.
But Shannon, what makes this class so successful, and I can't wait to tell him that every literally 3 or 4 times this week, Eddie has been saying, "When is Zoos again?"
Oh,
and these are usually classes that you have to force your kids to do, and not this class. He is so stoked on this class, and I really recommend it. He
knows how to engage.
Really does. And we do have availability in zoos, so that is not a class you want to miss. It's incredible and so fun. Friday, we are closed.
Only day we're closed.
Yes.
Amazing.
And Saturday, we have our social director and amazing self-advocate, Kelsey Darnell, running her very popular movie chat. That class, group, whatever you want to call it, that fills up very quickly. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to us and let us know how you can RSVP. And then on Sunday is our Sunday fun day. It's an all-day art and seeing and arts and crafts. Starts at 11:30. Some of the kids bring their lunch and they just stay all day. We also have a free virtual yoga class that's run by an amazing yoga teacher who has taught our community for 20 years. And Shauna is online every Sunday at 12 o'clock. That's another one you have to RSVP. So
But it's free.
reach out to us. And then we have our amazing mental health vision. So there really is something for everyone.
And we mentioned. Okay.
Yes. And notice, because Traven, he's so good, he turned it sideways so we could get a better view. He took pity on
Yes.
us. Notice the email there. If you have questions, you can email Blanca at afc.org. I'm going to say that again for those of you who are listening to the podcast. Blanca, LANA, at afc.org. That stands for the Ed Asner Family Center. I have to think of it that way. Or the phone number is right there. You can call 818-302-0712. Again, that's 818-302-0712. There really truly is something for everyone. And the in-person classes tend to fill up. So if you want to take one of those, I would advise people to do that sooner as opposed to later. Please note that all of the in-person classes, there is a cost, a very reasonable cost, less than you would get anyplace else, except for the circus arts class. It's free right now. And I took that last week, and it's so super fun. I learned how to balance a feather, which was not on my resume before, but is now, along with a whole bunch of other things. And it's just, I think it's super fun. And for parents who are at all nervous, I just felt very welcome to come in and take the class with me here. And you guys are so wonderful because you adhere to all the safety things, but you also allow people to come in and see what's happening, which I truly love.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's
Many
also
times we've had a parent or a sibling who wants to join, and I'm all for that.
but let's also remind people that all of the virtual classes are free. This was a service that you guys started doing during the pandemic, which I can't tell you how amazing it was that you guys did that service for the world. And I'm so proud of you that you did it, because it's some of the best things. You guys have adults that you're like, they don't have anything social to do. I'm begging you to register for the movie chat.
Yeah, definitely. The movie
Because-
chat's really a wonderful
And I
social
thought there was 2 of them. Not 2 of them? Not yet.
There was for a while. He's not hallucinating when the group is big enough, but I maybe you guys will do that again. But I also love that for the movie chat, they tell you what the movie or movies are. You get to watch it earlier in the week, come in, and a lot of times you guys have celebrities from the original, like big name celebrities there to talk about it with you guys.
Wait, Clancy Brown came and
Howie
and
Mandel.
Howie Mandel,
Joe Montana.
Joe
The lady
Montana,
from Annie.
the lady from Annie. I don't remember her name. Andrew McCardle? No. Yes, lots of guests.
Yeah,
lots
and
of
we
fun.
don't tell the participants. Kind of surprise them.
It's
and
just
that's the best
you
part.
never know who's going to show up.
It's I know a bunch of people who do not and cannot identify themselves as neurodiverse who are like, I want to go to that. So it's a really beneficial thing. And of course, as you mentioned, in addition to all of that, you have the counseling services and special events that you guys have coming up. And notably, you've got camp, but it's already full for the month of April.
Right.
That's already sold out. But if people, you've got summer camp coming up, and if people are like, darn it, I
I was
missed.
just going to say that if you are interested in Camp Ed, we start on 26th. Don't hold me to that date. I'm almost positive that's it.
But when do you start taking registration?
But we've already started taking registration for summer camp, and it's 6-week camp. So I'm 4 days a week, and it runs from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And this camp is chock a block. I've sent Eddie to a few other camps, and it was nothing like this. Aviva and Judy have created camp where every minute of every second of the day they're doing something so much fun and so it's the creation exploding every minute. It's crazy what they're doing, and each week is a different theme. It's so much fun, and that camp does fill up. I keep it small so they can do like these really unique, interesting programs. So that camp does fill up, and if you want more information about summer camp, reach out to Blanca at teafc.org.
There we go. We're totally out of time. I don't know where the hour went, but that we love you. And
sorry for the barking dog.
It happens. It happens. But we love you. Thank you for being
you guys.
a part of
Love
April.
you.
And
thanks for an inspiring hour.
Thank you. We'll see you guys very, very soon.
Okay.
We love you guys very much.
Love you too. All right. Take care.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.
And we've got an amazing guys next week. We'll make sure that we're posting about who our guests are next week. Don't forget Temple Grandin, April 8th, live here. Send your questions. Nancy, we didn't get to Y Art this week. Do we have the painting that we had
have
said that
one
we were
painting if Craven has it. I don't know.
Craven, do you have a chance to bring that up? Okay, he doesn't have it, so we got to promise next week.
We'll
but please give people the links of where they can go to Wyatt's art. Where can they go?
Go to Y Autism on Facebook.
And that's WY Art.
Craven just put Facebook up.
And
Instagram is also YArt_autism. We'll find it.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here. It's a lovely hour. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And we'll see you next week. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me.
And yourselves a hug from me.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next time.